Welcome to Gospel Tangents, the best source for Mormon history, science, and theology. I'm Rick Bennett. Many people have heard of the White Horse Prophecy, but few people know that it has been disavowed by church leaders. Even fewer know exactly what the prophecy is about. We're going to talk about the White Horse Prophecy in our next conversation with Dr. Christopher Blythe and how it affected the Mitt Romney campaign for president. Check out our conversation. Well, let's move on to... I probably could talk forever on this book, but the one issue that I really wanted to cover was the White Horse Prophecy, especially how it relates to Mitt Romney, because I think a lot of people have heard about the White Horse Prophecy, of course I have, but I didn't understand it in quite the detail, and I thought you gave some really good detail about it. So can you first tell us what is the White Horse Prophecy, what it's about, and then talk about how it tied into Mitt Romney's campaign?
Absolutely. So, the White Horse Prophecy, today, when someone talks to someone else about the White Horse Prophecy, they usually think it's just this one brief prophecy, which is that the Constitution will hang by the thread. There'll come a moment that the Constitution is imperiled, and usually today people think this would be it, that a Latter-day Saint, maybe a Latter-day Saint politician, is going to fix that. And of course the church has come out against the White Horse Prophecy, so people have thought the church has come out against this idea, that the Constitution will hang by a thread. In actuality, when we jump back to 1840, Joseph Smith publicly taught this idea that the Constitution would be imperiled and that the Latter-day Saints, not one individual, but the Latter-day Saints would play a role in protecting it. And so, Brigham Young talks about this in 1855, and Eleazar Snow talks about it. I mean, this is just a really common prophecy this is the theme of the book. America has failed. They've killed the prophet Joseph Smith. Latter-day Saints have moved to, and they've taken away the basic freedom of religion and freedom of expression and speech and so on. And so we can maintain all these things in Utah. And so by going to Deseret, the Rocky Mountains, we can build a society that protects the Constitution. So for most Latter-day Saints at that time, they would think this prophecy has already been fulfilled. We're over here protecting a Constitution that they rejected. So this prophecy is out there. In 1902, Edwin Rushton, a fascinating individual. Edwin Rushton is one of these guys that had a seer stone his whole life and would find lost objects for people. He thought that one side of his seer stone could tell you about the spirit world and one side could tell you about the lost 10 tribes. Fascinating individual. Edwin Rushton, in 1902, sits down and records a very lengthy sort of sermon and vision that he saw along with another guy, Theodore Turley, in Nauvoo. We don't have a statement from Turley about it. But he called it the White Horse Prophecy. He said in 1843, Joseph Smith gave this prophecy, and it was a sermon that he had seen a vision of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. These, the first 4 seals are opened in this book in heaven, and each one, as they're opened, a rider appears on a different colored horse. And there's a pale horse, there's a white horse, there's a red horse, and there's a yellow horse. And each of them there's a black horse, not a yellow horse. Each of them in the book in Revelation represent different sort of judgments, famine, death, war, that are going to come out upon the land in the last days. Or if you're a literalist in Joseph Smith's interpretations, you think maybe they came out on the earth at different time periods already. But according to this source in Edwin Rushton, Joseph said, in the last days, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you about these 4 horses. And the white horse is the saints. The pale horse are those guys that look like us but aren't actually us, the Gentiles, the Americans. The red horse are Native Americans, and the black horse are African Americans, former slaves, or slaves at the time. And I'm going to tell you the story about these 4 guys. And so the story of the White Horse Prophecy is recorded in 1902. It's largely based on this Civil War prophecy. It has an idea that the Gentiles are going to attack the saints, and actually, all sorts of wars are occurring here. And it begins with this reference that says there'll be a terrible revolution in the land that leaves the United States without any supreme government. So, great, wild moment's going to happen. Ultimately, the Constitution is going to hang by a thread. And in the White Horse Prophecy, it's not a politician that saves it either. The Red Horse, the Native Americans, aligned with the White Horse, the Mormons, are going to join together, and they're going to preserve the Constitution. Anyways, White Horse Prophecy was very prevalent for about 20 years, and even into the 50s. I mean, the White Horse Prophecy was just very popular.
So just quick, so he wrote it down in 1902, but supposedly this had happened decades earlier.
Yes. Right? And this would make sense. In 1840, Joseph Smith did make a prophecy with the Constitution. Every other element of the White Horse Prophecy document he wrote, you could find somewhere else. Some of the specifics, like a invasion from China on the East Coast, at the same time there's an invasion from European forces on the East Coast and the West Coast from China. You could find similar things in Joseph's teachings. I don't know one specifically about a Chinese invasion, but that was showing up on the time. But I call it a composite document. So kind of like if you thought of one of the Gospels being a variety of stories told about the Savior that are then being pulled together for this one text, or even you have these 4 Gospels and you're pulling them together to make the Gospels of the New Testament. The White Horse Prophecy is someone pulling together these sayings of Joseph Smith and framing them as if they happened all at this one moment in 1843. And apparently, believing that this guy 60 years later could remember word for word Joseph's thing. This was published and spread as, Joseph Smith's most important prophecy, Joseph Smith's greatest teaching. You get your pamphlet, or you'd write out your version of the White Horse Prophecy. Now today, everybody has forgotten the actual document of the White Horse Prophecy. Very few people know or have read the White Horse Prophecy itself. Instead, they just know this phrase: the Constitution will hang by the thread, and one of the elders will save it. And at some point, this took on a political dimension. 1896, when we become part of statehood, happens in Utah. There's an idea that Latter-day Saints could participate within the nation to protect the Constitution. That's key. So we've switched from that idea that we're going to save it over here all by ourselves. Now we're going to save it part of the nation. Ezra Taft Benson, this prophecy is emphasized throughout. There's even in 1940, the church has said, denounce the White Horse Prophecy. And because people already are thinking the Constitution prophecy is the most important thing and that thing we're waiting for, in 1940, Charles Nibley writes an article in the Improvement Era that says, I keep hearing people say we no longer believe the Constitution will hang by a thread. He says that's not the case at all. Look at all these statements. I don't know who's saying this to people, but this just isn't true. So the church is coming back and saying, no, we really do believe in the Constitution prophecy. Now, you jump forward in our day, and we have statements from the church discounting it, the Constitution prophecy, because of this confusion on is it the Constitution or is it the White Horse Prophecy. Ezra Taft Benson, is quoting it over conference, and it's really with the rise of Mitt Romney where we've become really concerned on how the rest of the world is interpreting the White Horse Prophecy. And today, of course, the White Horse Prophecy, when someone says it, just means there's going to be this Mormon politician that shows up to save the day when the Constitution's imperiled. And now we use it for, Mitt Romney initially, the idea that Latter-day Saints were more prone to elect a Latter-day Saint politician because they believe in this prophecy. Mitt Romney would come out and say, that whole idea is folklore.
Right up your alley.
Right up my alley. And others, Sally Denton wrote this terrible article in Salon in which she says, pay attention to this white horse prophecy because all Mormons believe it, and you don't want a president who has this sort of religious apocalyptic vision of why he should lead the nation, right? She's not saying that, but the idea would be we had that with Ronald Reagan and so on. We don't want to have that situation. And so it's fascinating. I end this book by talking about her sort of prejudicial article, and then a great defense written critical of her approach, taken both by Latter-day Saint law scholar Nate Oman, but also a great Jewish scholar writing in a Jewish newspaper saying this is just, if you take Protocols of Zion, this sort of anti-Jewish manual reads really similar to Sally Denton's sort of radical claim that a Latter-day Saint politician is trying to lead the world by getting elected to the United States presidency. So it's fascinating. The White Horse Prophecy still shows up in conversation around Mitt Romney. And I'm going to be honest, I've not met a Latter-day Saint who, I've seen many Latter-day Saints ask the question, could Mitt Romney have something to do with this? I've never seen a Latter-day Saint say, Chris, I think Mitt Romney's going to fulfill this prophecy. I just haven't. Now, some people have told me they have. In any case, it's usually used at this point to kind of make a joke, right? Like, finally, Mitt is going to stand up to Trump and save the Constitution. I think it's very interesting. White Horse Prophecy was denounced in 1918. This Constitution part's not, right? But
the Constitution still could hang by.
Yes, the Constitution. It's been repeated by Latter-day Saint prophets for over 100 years, up to the late 1980s, and never been disavowed. Certainly could still hang by the thread. It was never going to be fixed by a Latter-day Saint politician. That was never the claim. Ezra Taft Benson said it was going to be fixed by Latter-day Saints participating in politics, like all of us need to go out and vote sort of thing, and to stand up for the Constitution and democracy.
Of course, he ran for president as well. So could he be the White Horse?
There's a lot of people that could be the White Horse. But not really. I think the actual story of the White Horse Prophecy document is just so fascinating. I mean, this is the idea that Latter-day Saints are building a utopia in which, when the rest of the world falls apart, people can flee here and be protected. And then when forces come to mess with Zion that's established, Native Americans working together will defend themselves. The United States, those that are righteous and don't want to, they can also take refuge here in this spot. So I like the message. It's unfortunately, part of the message is that racial dimensions in the United States are going to lead to its downfall, right? This is going to be race war. Blacks and Native Americans versus Gentiles are a major part of this story. And Latter-day Saints are portrayed as the good guys that can kind of help everybody preserve a nation that's had its comeuppance.
Interesting. Well, what would you say to people who believe in this now? Is there going to be an apocalypse? Are we on the edge of destruction? I have family members that are like, we should, I'm not just saying this is bad advice, but make sure that we have our year's supply and, this sort of a thing. But do some people go too far with that?
I think people can go too far. I think we want to be balanced. I think the advice of Latter-day Saint leaders that stay in the safety of the center of the gospel, don't go out on the fringes, is wise. I don't think there's anything unhealthy. I think it's a good thing to store up for, if somebody has 6 months, a year, 2 years, I don't care, supply of food in their homes. I think it's a great thing. I always think it's weird, the conversation where people say, and I don't want to share this food come these bad moments in the future. I think we can get weird in those sorts of things. But yeah, if you want to prepare, I think that's a great idea. If you want to build a garden that you tend so you're not just using stores. That sounds really cool. I wish I had my garden set up like that. So I think preparation, learning survival skills, being a good Boy Scout, any of those things, these are kind of cool. At the same time, I think people can begin to live their lives in fear, right? I think a lot of government things are corrupt, but I think if I saw my daily interactions with everyone as part of a conspiracy, it might have a negative effect in my life. I think, at the end of the day, Latter-day Saints have often, they've prepared for the second coming, but very rarely have Latter-day Saints ever, well, at least as far as church goes, ever promoted the idea that the second coming was imminent, as in a few years, right? It's always been a couple generations away, right? We're preparing for the second coming, and we're doing our best, and we're living with that optimism, not that negativity. We don't emphasize the idea that destructions are going to happen on our neighbors or something like that. We're hoping that we can see this great Zion established, the idea of the Savior returning. And I think that's an absolutely wonderful mindset to have, that we're living to prepare the world for this great coming of Christ. And through his leadership and directions, all the bad things like disease and racism and prejudices and, social classes, poverty, and so on, will all go away. And this sort of perfect world will come into being. And I think that's a really cool mindset. I live like that. I'm a Latter-day Saint, I'm a convert, and I like the idea that my tradition teaches that we're in the last days. We have a destiny. There's something we're doing. Now I also live, I don't expect to be alive when the second coming happens, but I could, and I would like it that way. But I also want to prepare to meet God whenever I die, right? So I live my life also with the knowledge that my second coming could be any time, based on my mortality. So in short, I think these things could become negative if people allow them to become conspiratorial and paranoid and shut themselves off from society. All those things, or if one of the worst stereotypes of this is that it could lead to violence. Well, unfortunately, we know some historical events where it has led to violence, and so certainly I would want to hold on to that early Latter-day Saint vision of pacifism, right? We are the ones that get to escape that violence. It's a potentially negative force that can also be a great optimism. And that's the side that I think Latter-day Saints promote now, and hopefully will continue to promote for the foreseeable future.
Cool. Was there anything we missed that you want to tell us about, or any new projects you're working on, anything like that?
I am working on a project that I'm very excited right now. It's a reception history of Emma Hale Smith.
Oh.
And so I'm a few chapters into it, and I'm loving it. So probably by the time this shows up on the internet or in the podcast, a segment of it will be published on the Center for Latter-day Saint Arts, which looks at how Emma Smith has been portrayed in theater, which is kind of fun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, Dr. Christopher Blythe, I really appreciate you being here on Gospel Tangents. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Rick. It's great.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Dr. Christopher Blythe. Chris, it was fun to go back in time and look into the future. So that was a lot of fun. So if you haven't bought the book, Terrible Revolution, Chris has sent me this link where you can get it for a discount. So use this code right here and you can get this book, Terrible Revolution. So it's a fantastic book, and it looks at the past as well as the future. So it's really great. Thanks again, Chris. In our next conversation, I'm excited to introduce Dr. Thomas Murphy, and we're going to go back to talking about the Gospel Topics essays. Dr. Murphy has written a critique of the essay on DNA in the Book of Mormon.
So again, I didn't think it was that radical of a conclusion, and I figured the church would eventually get there. But I was a little bit ahead of it, of where my stake president wanted me to be. And he asked me if I'd reconsider my conclusion, and I said, well, only if the evidence changed. I said, if the evidence is different, yeah, I'll consider that. And, but you know, I got to be honest about what the evidence is. And he says, well, then I think we need to schedule a disciplinary council. And so I said, well, you know, if that's what you want to do, it's your decision. But I don't want that.
Thanks for listening to Gospel Tangents. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to hear the entire interview uncut, subscribe to patreon.com/gospeltangents, and for just $5 a month, you can hear the entire interview without interruptions. Also, we've also got transcripts available like these here that are available on Patreon as well as on our website. So to get those, just for $10 a month, you can subscribe and hit the yellow subscribe button. We've also got paperbacks like these. If you want to get those, you can get those at Amazon.com and just do a search for Gospel Tangents Interview, and you can get the paperback versions. Or we've also got subscriptions on those as well. And if you subscribe on our website, I'll send those to you as soon as they're finished automatically. Don't forget to get our latest updates at facebook.com/gospeltangents. And don't forget to tweet at us at Gospel Tangents. Of course, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts at tinyurl.com/gospeltangents. And please give us a 5-star rating for those of you who listen to audio only. And of course, you should show your support for Gospel Tangents with one of these cool t-shirts like this green one, or light blue, sport gray, royal blue, purple, of course black, beautiful gold, and of course Utah red. I've probably left out some colors, but if you want to see more, go to gospeltangents.com/shop and you can get one of these. So by the way, if you get one of these by Christmas and show your support for Gospel Tangents, I'll even send you a copy of a PDF transcript of your choice, anyone. So just make your order hopefully by December 1st so you can get it in time for Christmas. And but I'll even keep it open till through the end of the year. So just sign up, get a t-shirt at gospeltangents.com/shop, any color that you like, and I will send you a free PDF if you do it before the end of the year. So once again, thanks for listening. Click here to subscribe, here for a transcript, and over here we've got some more of our great videos. Thanks again.